This is Wanda from Deep South Homestead. Today we're going to make a loaf of bread, and this is a gluten bread. It's a regular bread flour. We're going to do a gluten-free later, but today the purpose of doing this one, and we're doing it from the get-go so you see how we do it, is because we want you to see how we make this bread. We're going to try baking it on our wood stove. So as I run through this process, this is just a regular bread recipe. It's probably the easiest one I have. Okay, you need to start with 2 cups of water and your yeast, and it has to be warm water, about 110, 115 degrees, not too hot, not too cold. You let the yeast sit for a few minutes. Then you have 6 cups of, right now we have bread flour. So I have 3 here and 3 here because you start off with 3 and then add to it. Okay, then we add our sugar, which is sugar is 3 tablespoons. All right, and got our 3 tablespoons of sugar in the flour. 1 tablespoon of salt. Add it to this 3 cups is here. And then we have 2, this is extra virgin olive oil, so we're going to put 2 tablespoons. Into here. And that's it. That's the recipe. Okay, to start mixing, we're going to add this. This is our water and yeast mix. A little at a time. Going to keep it off the sides. Turn it up a little and let it mix really well. Now we're going to start adding in this extra flour. This is 3 more cups. It takes about 3 cups per loaf, and this is going to make 2 loaves of bread. And if it looks like it's getting too thick on here, I'll finish mixing it by hand. We're just going to see how this works with this. Alright, we're going to work at kneading this a little bit. Get it over here. Get this mixed up. Okay, we have here, this is a pillowcase that I keep, and I fold it up, I clean it and fold it up and put it in the refrigerator, in the freezer part from time to time. This is my kneading cloth. So we're just using something we already have, which is this cloth. And I'm trying to get all the flour kind of mixed up into this. And then you take your ball of dough, and when you're kneading, you want to just keep rolling it in and turning. And you do this for a few minutes. It doesn't matter, 5 minutes. Some people go longer, but just a good time is close to 5 minutes. And when we get this kneaded, we'll show you the next process. Okay, we've been kneading it for a few minutes now. Danny has oiled my bowl. I used the olive oil again. Now that I've gotten it ready, I just kind of form a ball, as you can see, like this. And we put it in there. I'm going to cover it with a cloth in a few minutes, and we're going to let it rise 2 to 3 hours. That's usually about the time that we put it in a warm place with a towel over it and let it rise. Okay, this has been rising for about 2.5 hours. This is what it looks like. We're going to punch it down. Put it back on a floured surface. We're going to sprinkle a little flour here. And we're going to go ahead and punch it down and knead it just a few times. And then we're going to cut it. It's supposed to make 2 of these full-size loaves, but we're wanting to do this in a Dutch oven on the wood heater, so we're going to use a small pan here in our Dutch oven, and there's going to be enough left that I'm going to make a little mini loaf with it. So we're just going to have that, and this is what it's supposed to look like. It's kind of, so we're going to cut it in half first. Okay. It's really, you can see the elasticity of it right now. Okay, and for this, I want just a little bit of a mini loaf, so we're not even cutting it in half. We're just cutting off like a quarter of it or something. Not very much. And set it aside for the little mini loaf. Okay, add a little bit. Just so you don't have a sticky surface when you're working with it, go ahead and add a little flour and roll this little bit in there and make it smoother. Alright. And we're kind of working it into about the size of the pan. And you see I'm trying to smooth it out some. And basically, this is going to be our loaf. This is the one that will go in our Dutch oven in a little while. We're going to let that sit and about an hour, hour and a half, and then we're going to go with the Dutch oven and see how it turns out.
Alright YouTubers, we're back here. I'm going to finish the video out. Got Wanda behind the camera. We're over on my part of it now. We're over at the wood stove. We're going to be taking and cooking this loaf of bread in a Dutch oven on our wood stove. Because in the event that there's no electricity or whatever happens, economic collapse or whatever, we want to know, can we cook this bread and it come out all right the old-fashioned way on a stove in a Dutch oven? That's the answer to the question that we're looking for. I'm going to get Wanda, if she will, to hand me the bread, and we're going to get this thing in the Dutch oven. I'm going to show you a little bit about what's going on in the Dutch oven. Okay, we have the bread here that's already rose, been rising for about an hour. What we've done in the Dutch oven is we took 2 rings that fits on our canning jars and put in there because we don't want the bottom of this bread sitting against the bottom of the Dutch oven. Now the Dutch oven's good and hot right now, so we're going to take this and we're going to set it down in here. And we're going to put it to the test. And when it's done, we'll get back with you and show you what the product looks like.
Okay, we're back with our bread. This one was done in the Dutch oven. It did not brown on top, but as you can see, the bottom browned really nice there. So we're going to let it cool a while, then we're going to cut it. This one and this one were the 2 that I did in the regular oven, and you see how brown they turned out here. So we're going to give it a minute and slice it up and see what it's like.
Okay everyone, we're back here with the bread. It's cooled off. Wanda wanted me to do the cutting, so we're going to give it its maiden test here. See how the bread in the Dutch oven done.
Nice looking.
All right, we're only gonna cut a couple of pieces here. We're gonna look at it. It's got plenty of the air pockets in it. Turned out really, really nice. Looking at the end of it here, you can see the bottom browned nicely. Now the top didn't get real brown, but that's okay. It's still good and dry. So it looks like you can cook bread in a Dutch oven on the wood stove. Now, I'm going to set these back up here. I'm going to take one that come out of the regular oven. It's a little bit harder. Got a little bit harder crust on it. Come out. I can't really tell much difference between the two of them. So they both, other than the fact that this one has a harder crust around the outside, this one's lighter, more soft feeling. This one's more stiff feeling than this one is. So in my opinion, the one cooked on the wood stove is just as good as one cooked out of the oven. If you just, like I said, the only difference is this one has a hard brown crust. This one's crust is good and firm, but not hard. Yes, this one's shaped up a lot nicer in the pan. You can see the shape around the outside of it. It looks more like a loaf of bread. This one that's in the conventional oven did not rise and look as pretty as this one did. That rose up, has a real nice shape all the way through. One of the other things we want to mention is the bread that we cooked in the conventional oven here was in the conventional oven for 30 minutes. It cooked at 350 degrees. This bread that we cooked in the Dutch oven on the wood stove, we cooked it for an hour on the wood stove. The thermometer on the wood stove said that the temperature was about 250 degrees. I don't know if that's actually accurate inside the Dutch oven or not, but that's what the thermometer on the outside of the oven showed, that the temperature was, going into the pot. So that's your time difference. So if you like what you've seen here, we appreciate it if you like, share, and most of all, subscribe so that we can continue to keep our videos out there and get more people involved. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.